So today, we're talking about someone who was, well, he was way more than just a sportsman. He was a true artist, this rebel genius who took a forgotten craft and turned it into the most captivating spectacle in his sport. So let's pull back the curtain on the one and only magician, Shane Warne.
Okay, I want you to picture this. You're right there, standing in the middle of a massive cricket ground. The noise? It's just deafening. You can feel the pressure in the air. The entire match, maybe even the whole series, it all comes down to this one moment.
And then you look to the other end, and there he is. A figure starts his approach. It's not a sprint, no. It's this slow, deliberate walk, just building the suspense. The way he holds the ball, it's like a poker player hiding his best cards. You have no idea what's coming.
And then he lets it go. The ball just kind of loops through the air, almost lazy-like. And for just a split second, you're thinking, wait, is that a mistake? That looks way off target.
But then, bam, it happens. The ball hits the pitch and just turns. I mean, it turns at an angle that looks like it's breaking the laws of physics. It zips right past the bat and smash, crashes into the stumps. The whole stadium just erupts.
The batsman just stands there, looks back at his stumps, totally bewildered. The commentators, they're speechless. And literally everyone watching is asking the same exact question. What just happened? It was just a moment of pure, unbelievable magic.
So, that delivery, it actually has a name. They call it the Ball of the Century, and the magician behind it, none other than Shane Warne. And here's the craziest part. You ready for this? That was his very first ball in an Ashes series in England, back in 1993. I mean, can you even imagine a better first impression?
Seriously, think about that. The ball landed so far outside the intended line, any pro batsman on earth would just ignore it, thinking it's a wasted ball. But then, it spins so viciously that it travels all the way across the batsman to hit the stumps. It's just incredible. And with that one single delivery, Shane Warne became a household name across the entire cricketing world, instantly.
So how does a guy like that even happen? Where did this magician come from? Now, you might be thinking, oh, he was probably some super disciplined child prodigy, right? Well, you'd be wrong. Warne's journey was anything but conventional. So, Warne was born in Melbourne, and by all accounts, he was a pretty rebellious kid. Get this. He actually liked Australian rules football better. He only really turned to cricket later on. And even then, it wasn't easy. He really struggled. His first international match in 1992? Total dud. The critics were all over him, doubting his fitness, his consistency, the whole shebang. He was absolutely not the finished product from day one. Okay, so what was it then? What made this guy so unbelievably special? It wasn't just about raw talent. It was this deep, deep understanding of his craft, all mixed in with a brilliant strategic brain. He was about to completely redefine an entire style of bowling.
Now, for those of you who aren't huge cricket nerds, leg spin is one of the hardest things to do in the sport. Seriously, it's all about deception, making that ball turn in a way the batsman would never, ever expect. And Warne, he didn't just master it, he made it beautiful. He turned it into an art form.
And believe me, he was no one-trick pony. The man had a whole arsenal of different deliveries. You had the standard leg break, which was his go-to weapon, but then he could hit you with a flipper. That's a faster one that skids on. Or the googly, which is just pure deception, spinning the opposite way. And then there was the slider, which just didn't turn at all. It made him basically impossible to predict.
But look, the physical skill, that was only half the battle. Warne was a master psychologist out there. It was like a chess match. He'd study batsmen for hours, figure out their weaknesses, and then set these incredibly detailed traps. He'd move his fielders around, play mind games before he even let go of the ball.
And his impact was so much bigger than just his own stats. He was really the heart and soul of one of the greatest teams in history. And his personality, it just made cricket must-see TV. You had to watch.
Right through the 90s and 2000s, Australia just dominated world cricket. And Shane Warne was a massive reason why. If you want a perfect example, just look at the 1999 World Cup semi-final. Australia was about to lose, and he came on and his bowling just single-handedly dragged them back from the brink. It's still one of the greatest matches ever played.
You see, Warne was just charismatic. He was so confident and, yeah, okay, sometimes he was controversial, but that huge, larger-than-life personality was what drew people in. When he had the ball in his hand, you just couldn't take your eyes off him. You always felt like something amazing was about to happen. So when you really step back and look at the big picture, his legacy isn't just about winning games or taking wickets.
It's about how he completely fundamentally changed the sport he loved.
I mean, his whole career was just a masterclass in being excellent year after year. From that unbelievable first ball in England back in '93, he went on to win a World Cup, and then he became the very first bowler in history to take 600 Test wickets. His journey was just, yeah, legendary.
So what was the final number? 708. That's how many wickets he took in Test cricket. Just an astonishing number, and it was a world record when he retired. And you know, in this perfect, almost movie-like moment, he got his 700th wicket right there in front of his home crowd in Melbourne. You couldn't write it better. But maybe his biggest legacy is this. Before Shane Warne came along, leg spin was kind of seen as a dying art. People thought it was too hard, too risky. He completely changed that. He made it cool again. He turned it into a serious attacking weapon and inspired a whole new generation of kids all over the world to start practicing it. And even after he retired from playing, he was still a huge presence in the sport. He became this brilliant commentator and a mentor to young players, which is why his sudden passing in 2022 sent such huge shockwaves across the world. The tributes that poured in from every single country, it just showed you how much he meant to the game.
You know, in the end, I think this simple quote just says everything. Lots of people have been great at cricket, but very, very few have been true magicians. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? Shane Warne didn't just play his sport. He totally reinvented it. And it really makes you wonder, who are the other artists out there in any field who have so completely, so single-handedly transformed their own craft?